I have a nightmare mother-in-law story. She tried to not allow me to get my inheritance, but you know what? I'm not going to stand around and let that happen. I'm going to stand up to my nightmare mother-in-law now.
Okay, gals, buckle up, because I've got a juicy story for you all. This is a long one, but there's a lot of twists and turns, so I'll give you the backstory first. I married into a pretty wealthy family about 5 years ago. My husband is great, but his mom, a major piece of work. Like, screechy mom dearest type. She's one of those classless, judgy, my family's better than you types. Never thought I was good enough for her precious baby boy. Whatever, I dealt with it because I loved him. So, hubby's dad passed away kinda suddenly last year. It's super sad. He was the sweetest man, like polar opposite of his harpy wife. I always felt like he liked me, even though the monster-in-law looked down on her nose at me. Well, after the funeral, we start going through some of the paperwork and find out, old Pops left a bunch of money and property to me in the will. Well, I was shocked, but also touched. Hubby was happy for me too. But then we realized, when Mommy Dearest finds out about this, it's not going to be pretty, and boy, were we right. So, a few weeks later, I just happened to be walking by the living room and heard the grating voice barking instructions to somebody on the phone. So I peeked into the room and saw her hunched over a bunch of papers. It was the will! She was telling the person on the phone, it was a lawyer, I think, that they need to change the terms of the will to favor her more, and cut me out. Somehow I, quote, manipulated her poor dead husband. Just vicious stuff. She wanted to keep the money in her direct family. Yeah, no thanks, lady. Now I was freaking out. I researched how challenging a will works and found out it's pretty tough. I decide I need to gather evidence against this tricky witch before she pulled a fast one. That's when the most unlikely ally emerged. My brother-in-law, my husband's brother. Apparently, he knew what a greedy schemer she was and wanted to help expose her himself. Who knew? So, we start secretly tracking her movements and recording her conversations. We get all sorts of proof of her shady dealings, and it was emotionally hard, but I knew it had to be done. After we felt we had enough evidence, my brother-in-law and I decided to confront her in front of the whole family at my nephew's birthday party. It was pretty risky, but the element of surprise worked out. You should have seen her face when I whipped out those receipts in front of everyone. She just sputtered and denied it initially, but eventually broke down and admitted what she had done when I kept pressing. Jaws dropped in the room. I'm talking total public humiliation. She lost any shred of control over the family after that day. So, I'll admit the legal battle afterwards was a headache, but eventually the will was set again. And Mommy Dearest, of course, tried to turn everyone against me, but they all saw through her act. She ended up isolated, alone. Karma, everybody wanted to cut her off. While I consider that to be a victory, it's also a bit bittersweet. I felt sad that it had to come to this ugly confrontation, but you know what? It is what it is. My brother-in-law, he really came through for me during this whole ordeal. We've become so close, and I'm grateful to have him in my corner. The old witch, she was showing me some signs of regret, but the damage is done, come on. She really just messed herself up with this one. The family dynamic will never be the same, but ultimately, I'd say the experience taught me to stand up for what's right, no matter what. I used some of the inheritance to start a charity foundation in my late father-in-law's name. I think it's a fitting way to honor his legacy of kindness, so what I'm saying is, the moral of the story is don't ever mess with this gal and her loved ones. I found a voice and discovered how strong I can be. Mother-in-law ducked around and found out. What's up, everybody? So just when you think that the story's over, it's not. I have an update that came from the original poster 1 year later. And if you guys are enjoying these sort of stories, the revenge stories, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Here is the first update, update number 1, 1 year later. Alright guys, go ahead, buckle up, because the saga continues. It's been about a year since that epic showdown with mother-in-law. Things have been, well, interesting to say the least. How do I put this? Mother-in-law eventually reached out and actually apologized for everything that she put me through. I know it's her first time ever apologizing in her life. I'm still working through my feelings on it, and part of me will never forget how she tried to mess me over. But another part knows that holding grudges only hurts me more. It's complicated because I don't even like to look at her. I'll say mother-in-law's behavior has improved, slightly. She's trying to be more involved with the family and do volunteer work. I guess you could call that baby steps. I still keep her at arm's length though. She and I actually worked together on a project to renovate and repurpose one of my late father-in-law's properties. Yeah, well, imagine working with her. It was tense, but we did accomplish a lot. Again, baby steps. My awesome brother-in-law has taken on more of the leadership role with the family business. He really stepped up and it's making me proud. We've been trying to focus more on creating a new positive tradition together. Less competition, less pettiness. Anyways, something that touched me though, we all went through old family albums and shared memories of my father-in-law recently. It was really moving and brought many of us to tears. It reminded me why I have to keep working on forgiveness because life is short. I've read a bunch of these posts on here and I see mother-in-law conflicts all the time and most of them just go unresolved or end in some kind of family feud with people getting cut off. Like I said, life is short. So, all this to say, things are getting better. I'm still weary of her, though. I know people can surprise you, but the past can't be erased, can it? I'm protecting my peace. I'll update you guys maybe in a little bit. Update number 2. 6 months later. OMG. Guys, I'm legit shaking right now. So, the prodigal mother-in-law has returned again. So about 6 months after my happy update, out of the blue, mother-in-law wants me to meet up for a one-on-one. Says that she's been reflecting a lot and wants to clear the air. I was very apprehensive, but curiosity kills the cat. So we met at the cafe. Y'all, she broke down, crying in front of everybody. People were looking at us. Like, really laid her regrets out bare. Everybody was listening. She said that she was wrong to treat the way she did. That she sees I'm a good partner for her son and good for the family even. Part of me thought it was another manipulation tactic because clearly that's all she does. But she seemed earnest and actually remorseful. I don't know, either she's telling me the truth or she's the best poker player on the planet. Yeah, she said she doesn't expect forgiveness but wants to do better by me. It was a lot to take in. But I do appreciate her words, but you know what speaks louder than words? Actions. The past still happened, and I won't pretend it didn't. But anyways, guys, I'm trying to be understanding. I've read a lot of your comments, and they do help me out, so thank you for that. I gave her some ideas how to, make an amends properly. Charity work, setting up a scholarship fund in my father-in-law's name, going to therapy for one. I told her to check back in 3 months, and we'll see where things go. People are saying that I'm too soft on her. Should I be harsh? I mean, what do you want me to say? This woman put me through hell, but holding on to the anger doesn't help. So I'm gonna ask, what do you guys think? Should I cut her loose or cautiously work on forgiveness? My kinder side wants to give her another chance, but I also refuse to be made to look like a fool. Again. Update number 3, 5 months later. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been about 5 months since mother-in-law's teary apology meeting with me, and here is the latest on this, mother-in-law. I decided to cautiously move forward with rebuilding things with her. I wasn't gonna let my guard down, but felt she deserved a shot at redemption. We've been taking baby steps, again. She joined me in co-hosting the family's annual summer party, and it was tense. I think people know that we hate each other. She also donated a huge sum to charity. I couldn't believe it, but I set it up in father-in-law's name and volunteered regularly at their events. It seems that she's making an effort to actually stay true to her words. Just last week, she called me out of the blue and asked if I wanted to look through some old family photos together. Well, I agreed hesitantly because this is out of the ordinary. But wow, it was actually really nice. When I got there, she had albums on albums of the entire family and pictures I've never seen of my husband. She would share these great stories about my hubby as a kid that had us both laughing. It made me see her in a slightly softer light. So afterwards, mother-in-law suggested we start a new tradition of a monthly family dinner night. Well, I said I'd think about it, still being cautious but open. Oh, and the big news. She started going to therapy weekly to work through her control issues, stemming from childhood insecurities. Well, that's her words, at least. Proud of her for recognizing that need, but I know I can't rush to trust or forgiveness. But people can be complex. Anyways, my husband is also so proud that our relationship seems to be turning around. I will update if anything else drastically happens, but this might be the last one. Update number 4, 1 week later, final update. Alright guys, well, I wasn't going to come back to update, but I swear life just throws you curveballs. Things with my mother-in-law, it's been going okay, but that's not why I'm posting. The monthly family dinners were awkward, but peaceful. She even listened politely when I talked about my charity work. Progress, right? Well, last week it all blew up. I get an urgent call. Mother-in-law's in the hospital. I rushed over, mind swirling with worry. Was it a heart attack? Stroke? Had she fallen in the shower? But when I got there, the doctors took me aside with a grim look. Stage 4 cancer, spread everywhere. She has weeks to live. I was in total shock, despite our rocky history and the fact that she absolutely hated me at first, and don't forget she tried to get me taken out of the inheritance. Well, either way, this news gutted me. When I saw mother-in-law laying there looking small and frail, all I felt was deep sadness. Well, when she saw me, she starts to sob. She squeezed my hand and apologized over and over for how she's treated me the whole life that we've known each other. I lost it, guys, and we both just kept weeping. The next few weeks were a flurry of hospital visits, family flying in and from the country, and arrangements being made. Exhausting, but it bonded us. Mother-in-law made amends with everyone. She was so open and vulnerable. I think she was actually scared. We had a beautiful final dinner together as a family. Mother-in-law, though weak, toasted me for the grace I'd shown. She said that she was proud of the woman that I've become. A few days later, she died, passed away peacefully in her sleep. At her funeral, I gave a tribute about finding forgiveness and seeing the humanity in others. There was not a dry eye in the crowd. Losing mother-in-law so suddenly made me realize how precious time on this earth is. I didn't want to waste any more of anger, resentment. Her actions can't be erased, but she tried her best to make the amends in the end. Wow. Now it's up to me to honor that. I know, guys, this is a bittersweet ending to this, but mother-in-law is gone. But she brought out an empathy and maturity in me that I will carry forward. No matter what, we have to make the most of our time with the complicated people in our lives, even if just little. I hope sharing this story has helped somebody out there. I wish you all moments of healing, grace, and growth. Thank you. Alright guys, so I did not expect that to happen, that final update. However, we are going to check out some comments now from that final post, and these two commenters are arguing back and forth with each other. They don't agree with how OP handled the situation, and here is comment number 1 from Seek Justice 85. I think you did the right thing, confronting your mother-in-law publicly like that. She needed to be exposed and face the consequences for trying to screw you over. Don't feel bad at all, she totally deserved it. People are saying you shouldn't have just done that and you should have taken the high road. They clearly don't understand how manipulative this woman was. I'm glad you stood up for yourself and got justice. Anyways, regardless, rest in peace. Comment number 2, Turn the Cheek 88. Replying to comment 1 says, "Whoa, I disagree. Publicly humiliating your mother-in-law like that seems really harsh. You could have tried to resolve things quietly without making a vindictive spectacle. Just because she did you wrong doesn't mean you should stoop to her level. There's power in responding with grace and taking the high road, but whatever, you do you." Okay, seems like it's getting heated. This is when Seek Justice 85 replies back to turn the cheek. No way! A quiet solution would have let her get away with it. She needed to face real consequences for her greedy actions. OP gave her a taste of her own medicine. And the final comment from Turn the Cheek. All that public revenge likely just made the relationship worse. Well, with grace, you leave room for growth and reconciliation. But I guess we all handle conflicts differently, don't we?